You're a chopper. Not this one, no. Not just yet, anyway. Because we need to change the oil. And let me start this again when that chopper's done flying overhead. Meow. So anyway, we're going to change the oil and do a flush. If you have a Honda Shadow 750, either an Ace, a Spirit, Arrow, whatever, the motor itself is pretty much the same. The top end on these things can start getting a little ticky. So I've read through and done quite a bit of digging around, and it seems that actually the easiest and best way to clean that ticky tappy up is just do an engine flush and try and clean some of the gunk out of the lifters. So that's what we're going to do here. Is step one is going to be to put some flush in the crankcase with the old oil, and then fire the bike up cold, let it run for about 5 minutes so it can cycle this flush. And I'm using Motor Medic Motor Flush. And I've already done this flush once on this bike, and it seemed to help quite a bit. But this will be my final flush on it, and this oil change is at the 3,000 mile mark. So again, step one is going to be remove your oil cap and dipstick, set that aside, and then open up your engine flush if you're going to go ahead and do the flush. And this is for like a, this bottle will handle a full V8 motor. We don't need to put that much in there, so I'm going to put about a third, maybe a half of the container, if I could get it in the hole. Now technically we are overfilling our crankcase with fluid by doing this, so it is really important that when you fire the engine up, to let it do its cycle and warm up a little bit. It's doing its thing, breaking all that crud loose, that you let it stay at idle. Do not throttle up at all, period. Now let's go fire the bike up. Fuck. Eee. Pull it off with no choke. Pretty warm out here today. Picks up RPM once she warms up a little bit. You just let it sit in idle. Idle for 5 minutes. Idle. Alright. We've been idling for our 5 minutes. Motor smooth right the hell out, so she warmed up. And we go ahead and shut it down, and then we will drain the fluids. Eee. 17mm for your drain plug. And then you realize that you can't get a ratchet and socket. Can't even get the freaking phone in there to get the shot of it, but let's see, right through there, it won't go on square. There's just not enough room between the drain plug and your intake feed for your water pump from your radiator. So you have to use a box end wrench, 17 millimeter box end wrench. All right, now once you got your 17 millimeter box end, stick that sucker on that drain plug and break it loose. And you don't get a whole bunch of an angle to work with here. Ugh. Come on, go on there. Ugh. I can only get a swing on it from going backwards this way. There we go. And it shouldn't be too terribly tight. You don't want it too terribly tight. Just break it loose to where you can unscrew it the rest of the way with your fingers. And then I use an old pot. But get your old pot or whatever you're going to use to catch your oil ready, so that as soon as you pull that plug, you can slide your catch container up under and catch the oil and not get too bad of a mess. But I'm going to need both hands to do that, so y'all bear with me here. Yep, I still managed to make a bit of a mess. A drain plug, keep that sucker kind of close by so you don't lose it. And I like to let the crankcase oil finish draining completely. Let's see if I can get a spot. Right there's the hole. Can't really see the oil coming out of it from the angle that the camera can see it, but just watch it till it completely stops. And then put your plug back in, and then you want to drain or take off your oil filter, which is right there, and let the filter housing drain. And that'll be our next step once it's done draining from the pan. Alright, once it finally stops draining, at this point this one is down to like maybe a drip a minute. A little bit faster. Nope, drip every 10 seconds. But that's enough for me anyway. Go ahead and put your drain plug back in, and we're going to move on to the filter. Alright, now when you put your drain plug back on and tighten it up, see if we can get under and see it here. See that right there? It's the only one that is 17 millimeter on the bottom side, the left side of the bike. But don't over tighten it. That aluminum oil pan will you'll strip the threads right out of it. It only needs to be snug, and just a hair past snug. That's all you need. It's got an O-ring that seals it. You're not trying to seal it with the threads. Just snug it up. Don't try and monkey it on there. Alright, to pull your oil filter loose, you're going to need either a pair of good sized channel locks or an oil filter plier set. These are cheap, pick them up pretty much any auto parts store. I think I got these at Harbor Freight. And loosen her up with those, and then twist it off by hand and have your drain pan ready so you can catch that oil. Now when I'm setting up with my oil filter pliers, this is the angle that you have to attack it at to get clearance to be able to swing it. Once you get a good bite on it, wiggle a little bit, make sure you're not hitting on anything, and give her a spin and start breaking that filter loose. Once you get it about hand tight, that's it with the pliers. That's it right there. Now get your drain pan kind of back over in the vicinity and ready. And you're going to have to do your two-hand trick again and thread that filter off the rest of the way. and slide the pan over. Unless you just let the thing fall right into the pan, then you can go ahead and slide the pan under it now. It's just what I'm going to do. Now, a smart, forward-thinking individual might go ahead and get that bolt right there out and pull this cover to give you a little bit more access right here. But once you have this thing where it's just very lightly on there, finger tight, and easy spinning, you reach your finger up in there and just spin it off and let it flop into your catch pan. Just like that. Now, let that drain. Alright, now once your filter adapter has stopped draining, and it'll quit draining a whole lot faster than your oil pan did, go ahead and get ready and put your new filter on. And I use these Mobil 1 108s. I think you can also fit a 110A on them, and they're, I don't know, about yay longer. But I haven't tried it yet on this bike to be able to verify if they fit. And just get it on there hand tight. That's it, filter's on, plug is in and cinched down, we're ready to drop oil in it. After I clean up my mess from spilling, it looks like a whole lot more oil than it is because it's really thin. That flush really thins out your oil, so it just spreads out a whole lot farther than it would if it was just, you know, regular old used motor oil. Let me go get some kitty litter. All right, got a little bit of kitty litter down. I'm ready to drop some oil in this motor. We'll pull our fill cap and dipstick, and we want to kind of stick it somewhere. Well, we're going to wipe it off anyway, so that's fine. And we're going to need a funnel. Couldn't find my funnel, but found a mostly empty bottle of brake fluid and my handy dandy Buck 110. Watch this. Funnel. Gonna have to hold it kind of like so, but it'll get the oil in there with a whole lot less mess than without it. Alright, so let's talk about oil. This time I'm gonna go ahead and put in some full synthetic Rotella T6 5W40. It's a little bit thinner. The last oil change I ran, the Honda expensive synthetic V-twin concoction 20W50, real heavy stuff. I'm going to see if this makes any kind of difference at all, and see if she likes it, because that Honda stuff's expensive as hell. But this stuff is rated, I don't know if it's going to get down here and be able to pick this up, but it has the ratings required for a wet clutch anyway. CJ4 JSO, and it should be all right. I mean, I ran it in my Yamaha YZF 600R. I ran it in the Katana. The Katana loved it. I ran it in the Savage. Pretty much all of my bikes, I just run this, and they all seem to love it. So I'll see what this V-twin does with it, and we'll go from there. I'm not putting it out there that I recommend using this. I'm not a shill for Shell for dang sure. I've had real good luck with it in the diesels that I specialize in, the 7.3 Power Strokes and the 6.0s, and then now coming up with the 6.7s. And I've just had real good luck with this stuff in all of my bikes. So again, not promoting or anything, I'm just saying that's what I'm using. And the last oil change in this bike was the Honda brand 20W50 V-twin full synthetic, expensive stuff, and it still feels good, you know, after 3,000 miles. It's not too terribly dirty. I mean, it's kind of black, but it's not real gritty. I did feel some grit, but a lot of that is from trash that it's still pulling out of the motor. I think, anyway, I hope. I don't see any glitter, so that's a good thing. But anyway, we'll see what this Rotella T6 does in this motor. Now, capacity on this bike is called to be 3 quarts, and we have just about 2 in it. And I like to let it sit and settle for a second and then continue to add. And when you get close, start checking it. I'll show you how to check it. All right, we've got about 2.5 quarts in it, and we have wiped off our dipstick. So we're going to gently thread it in and seat it. Now what we're going to do is stand the bike up very gently, very slowly into the upright position, and then gently set it back down very slowly. All right, what we're doing there is we're trying to get a level read, so like the bike is sitting level. And if you, like, say you're working on your bike and you don't have one of those lifts or something to get the bike up and sit level while you're working on it, it's got to sit on the side stand. That's like the way you check this thing. It needs to be sitting level, and where it's sitting level and the mark indicates on the dipstick, that's your actual reading. Okay, so if you try and check it with it leaning on its side stand, you're going to read low, and you're going to overfill it. You don't want to do that. So what you do is you get yourself positioned on the bike very gently. You don't want to cause a swoosh. You don't want the fluid in that oil pan to swoosh as you're moving it. You just want to gently, hold your brakes so you don't roll. Very gently and slowly raise the bike up into level riding position. And don't rock it any farther right. At that point, just very gently stop and go back the other direction and set it back down on the side stand. Now go check your dipstick. And remember, we only have 2.5 quarts in here. We'll see what we're reading. Looky there. All right, 2.5 quarts. I don't know, this might be too bright for the camera to pick it up in the sun. But we are right there, just a hair from the full mark at 2.5 quarts. So if we had put a full 3 quarts in just off the bat, it would be over full, and you don't want that. So just, we can run it like this or put in another little hair and call it good. And I think that's my plan. All right, oil is all topped off. Plug or oil cap and dipstick is back in. Let's wipe off that little bit of oil right there. Right now would be a pretty good smart time to go ahead and wipe off any oil that you might have dripped on your exhaust before you fire it up, because that's the next step. You don't want that oil just baking onto your pipes. Fire your bike up. Ignition. Fuel. The go button. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that would probably help. There you go. That's how to change the oil on your Honda Shadow 750. Go for a ride. Yeah, buddy. Stupid battery. And it's Somehow the stupid Wi-Fi button got clicked. Oh, these stupid cameras, I'm so ready to upgrade. Going? Yes, we're recording. Alright. Oh! Yeah, I turn my fuel off every time. Just because I'm gun shy. I've had freaking float bowl issues. Float hanging open. Oh, she sounds so good. Go nice and easy for a few minutes. Let everything get nice and circulated. I think I want to go up Track Rock Gap a little bit.